So I won't be here for the whole time. I think
I know. Hi, everyone. I'm live. We're just making sure all the links are working.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. And can you hear me okay? Can you? Okay, perfect.
But give me 1 second. I'm just going to upload it. Give me 1 sec. Don't talk on the phone.
Making sure it's working well. Out to make sure it's working properly. Assistant. And she's so dedicated to all of you that she's up at 2 in the morning helping out to make sure this goes smoothly. So I'm going to thank her right now for me and for all of you. Are we good to go? All right.
Yes, we are.
Great. Pointing down. Okay. Awesome. Good. We're ready to go. Okay, I'm going to say everybody here.
Okay.
All right. Bye. To rock and roll. And as we get everything, thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, the fertility expert, and I am so grateful to have all of you. What I hope is going to be and expect to be an awesome video series. This is number 1 of 4. All day to talk with all of you. And exciting for me. And what else was I going to say to all of you? Yeah, so I don't know if you all know, I've just been thinking about this. So I figure I'm going to share before I get started. We're going to give everyone a couple of minutes to join in with us. We've got about five minutes or so before we get started. Hold on, let me see. Hello. Yes, okay. Yeah. She's giving. Familiar with that song, High Hopes? What is it? Make it my new theme song for me and my channel because I think it rocks. I think it speaks volumes to all of you. And the thing that I want all of you to have, which is high hopes for your success. So I love it. I've been thinking it and singing it in my head all day. So I just had to say something. Anyway. All right, we're going to get started. Right now. Posting on Facebook to let everybody know we're about to go live. So what we're going to do is, for all of you there, I know I'm in front of the microphone, but this is the only way for me to do it. Okay. So we go, what we're doing, don't worry, you guys are getting all the goodies. They are just getting a little tease, and then I'm going to turn it off. So not to worry before we get started. Okay, got my tea, we got my water. Boom. All right, we're going to do that and slide it over. Beautiful. All right. Is everyone excited for this series, for this video series? I know I am. I'm super grateful to have you all here with me. Excited to teach you and to go over some of these tools and knowledge bombs that I think are going to hopefully impact and improve your success when it comes to IVF. I've been talking about this for weeks, and that we're ready to get started. So if you didn't see any of my pictures onto social media to let you all know, kind of see the setup and how it's working, I've got a screen down here that it's on. So periodically you'll see me kind of just look down. Is for all of you to watch and learn from. If you are joining from Facebook, first and foremost, thank you. Hello. This will not stay live on Facebook for talking about some goodness, but if you want all the information, you want to catch all teaching, all of registering is on my page. It's also going to be in the comment section here, but it's just marksklar.com/conquering IVF/ and that's where you can register, and not just register for today's video, but register for all my videos in the video series. So hopefully you can join me because I'm going to be turning that off in just a. And for all of you watching on YouTube, if you I appreciate you all being here. I'm excited. The replay link if you want to watch this again and you can't watch the whole thing right now. Other videos, because I may not be on YouTube live every time for you to watch. So that's where we're going to start. We've had thousands of women sign up and register for the video series. I'm excited to have you all with me. I want to talk today, as we start, I want to talk about first and foremost who this video series is for. You got my letters here, different types. Learn about IVF to improve their chances. So the first one is for those of you who are just thinking about starting IVF. You've been on your journey. You've been contemplating the process. You are maybe ready to take that leap and you're getting ready to start. And I'm going to switch pens because that red help me write these so that you all can see it more clearly. So a big shout out for spending some time and putting all these notes on here. And the second one, maybe you already guessed it. You've already tried IVF. You've already tried IVF, and you are in the process of going through it, right? So I don't know why my assistant is calling, but I'm going to answer it real quick. Yes? Hello?
Get the mic in your hand because it goes.
Okay. Resume broadcast. Give me 1 second, everybody. I don't know why that went out. All right. So I'm going to be doing a couple different things. I'm going to be holding the mic. Apparently, you all can't hear me so clearly, so I'm going to hold the mic. This will be a little strange, but we got it. So if you've already done IVF and you've been unsuccessful, or maybe you've been successful, but that was years ago, and you're chances and maybe have a slightly different experience when it comes to IVF. And then number 3, you are preparing. You're preparing for IVF. So those are the 3 different where IVF and this video series about conquering IVF is going to be successful and it's going to be important for you. Now, several things when it comes to Conquer IVF that are really important for us to understand. IVF is a easy process. The fertility journey, right, is not an easy process. If it was, everybody would be getting pregnant. And if it was, you wouldn't even be contemplating IVF. But just getting to this point of contemplating, having the discussion, already been a struggle for all of you. And I know it from speaking to all of my patients. It's successful, and we want to do it the right way. So that's and you're, excuse me, not answers. You're leaving questions that you deserve or want, or it takes too long to get answers back to you. And I have a perfect example today. As I was seeing one of my patients, she came in and she was frustrated because as she was sitting there talking to me, she was frustrated expressing that when she called her IVF coordinator, that she wasn't getting answers. She had a cycle, it had failed, and it wasn't successful. And because of that, she wanted to speak to the doctor, and they were ignoring her. So when that happens, you get frustrated. So because and upset. And so we want to answer those questions for you. We want to answer those questions for you. Number 3, obviously the dollar sign. IVF is expensive. It's an investment. We don't want you to have to go through a seamless process. You don't have to go through it over and over. And so we want to make sure that while, okay? So that's the dollar sign here. And then last, the percentages. I hear often, and actually a different patient today, not that same patient, we're going to press resume here. Okay. That she didn't understand thereof when she went into her IVF cycle. She said it to me today, and I was actually talking about today. But she communicated and no one had expressed that to her. So one of the things that I want to do today is really express to you realistic percentages and expectations. And then I want to teach you some things that can boost up and increase those chances for you so that we can take those lower percentage rates, success rates, and increase them as much as we can. So for all of you who've been listening on Facebook, I'm going to say bye. If you want to watch the rest of this, jump onto the link right here in the comment section and register and come join us. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, we got that done. Awesome. Okay, so in IVF, the realistic, all of you, depending on your age, your history, and the IVF, is going to be anywhere from 20% to 50%. That's a big range, right? The healthier you are, the higher those success rates are. But the older you are, the more complicated your history is, then the can. So I'm just going to scroll here a little bit. So my goal with this entire series, but certainly with starting with today, is to not only increase your IVF success rate, but to make the process easier, and that it's as much as you can and as quickly as you can. And it's because over the last 17 years, I've helped their low percentages, short. Don't know who I am, and by now I'm sure most of you do. Can't you see the resemblance right there? That's me. And again, my assistant's calling. I don't know why, so give me 1 second. Maybe you guys can't hear me for some reason. Yes? Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do about that.
I think if we don't use the mic, maybe it's the mic that is disconnected.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Right. So she feels that the audio is. Okay, so let's see if that works better for all of you. So as I was saying, it's certainly easier for me because I don't have to hold that mic, which makes me a lot happier. And it's an easier process for me to talk. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I've been practicing for over 17 years. Online, I developed my fertility school, which is an online program that has helped tons of couples get pregnant. And then I also have, where maybe all of you have seen me, is my YouTube channel, Fertility TV, where I post tips regularly to help you increase your chances of success. So you can do that on your own. If you're not familiar with those, then go ahead and check those out. Additionally, I've helped couples all over the world through my HOPE program, which is my one-on-one consultation program that I work with virtually with patients all over the world. And then here in sunny San Diego, we see in both of my clinics over 200 patients a week. And that's how we as a team have developed our protocols to help all of you increase your chances of success. Some actually call me a fertility detective. It's where we blend our natural approaches together to increase your success rate. And then we are a natural fertility clinic. So I use natural fertility to support you during your IVF cycle. And there's not many functional medicine doctors out there that specialize in fertility. And what we're trying to do is really look at the root cause. So that way, even though if you've got to go through IVF and use these injections and medications, we can blend the natural treatments that we offer to increase your chances and decrease the side effects that you are experiencing. So what I want to do right now, because I think it's easier if you hear this from somebody else than for me, is I want to share a quick testimonial of some patients, just so you can get other patients' perspective on it and not just hear this from me. So I'm going to share my screen for just a second. This will only take a minute. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Perfect. Oh, I got to stop. Sorry. I shared the wrong thing. So give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Beautiful. And now, let me press play.
Me and my husband, we started trying for a baby in 2012.
We started trying. It was about 18 months in. I got pregnant the first time. I had a miscarriage.
I remember my world falling down around me when they told me I'd never have biological children.
We went to a specialist in the area. He just said to me, lose 100 pounds. I was the case of unexplained infertility. Before approaching you, Marc, I saw 8 to 9 doctors.
We didn't really anticipate having issues.
When you told me, that's not true, that was huge for me.
At that point, I was probably about a year and a half into trying to get pregnant. No luck, and then I sought you out. And I got pregnant. I got my first positive pregnancy test.
Working with you was the start of massive turning point on a lot of different levels.
We did a frozen embryo transfer. Here we are, pregnant,
Almost.
a biological baby.
And we had a beautiful baby girl a month ago.
Awesome. We're going to stop sharing. We're going to come back. Okay. So I wanted to do that so you can hear from real patients, real people who have gone through some of the same programs and things that I do and I'm talking about right now, and they were successful. And I want you to see that because I want you to know that it's real and it's possible for all of you. Okay? So everything you need to know before you get started with IVF, there's 3 key points. And I actually, last night, you could barely see it at the bottom, okay? I wrote down a 4th. Because as I was working through my notes, a 4th one came to mind that I thought would really be important for all of you. So first and foremost, when? When is it the right time to start thinking about IVF? There's no right time. It's what's right for you, okay? But I'm going to talk about when in a couple of different slides or pages when I turn these, because I want you to understand what's right for you as an individual and as a couple. When is important? I want you to kind of let all the noise from around you go away. and all the things that people are telling you. Sometimes they're louder than others. Sometimes it comes from your fertility doctor. Sometimes it comes from your OB or your mom or your best friend or your partner. Whatever it is, I want all those things to go away for a moment. And I want you as an individual first, and then as a couple to decide when is the right time for you to go through IVF. And that answer might look different than what you've been told or what you thought, okay? So that's the first thing when it comes to when. Second, that's why we've got a little clock here, right? Is it the right time for you? And this is a little bit different than when here, because this is about the time factor. I had a conversation today, again, this is a third patient, a different patient, about time. And I'm going to go over the time factor in just a little bit, but I want to mention it right here because it's appropriate, that this is not something that anybody else can tell you. The clock might be ticking for you, and it might be ticking slower or faster. And depending on which one, how fast or how slow it's ticking, will impact if it's the right time for you to move forward with IVF. That's going to be different for everybody because your family planning, your life planning, your how many kids you want to have, all of these things are going to impact that one factor, okay? So keep that in the back of your mind. And then this one over here, options, with a line through it. Options. Is IVF the only option for you? Are there other options? Have you looked at those other options? So often I get patients who come into my office and say, I've looked at everything else and now I'm moving forward with IVF and I want you to help me be successful with it. And I said, that's fine. I'm happy to help you be successful with your IVF cycle, but have you really looked at all the options available? Is this truly the only option for you? And I've got nothing against IVF. I'm not trying to make that a more difficult decision. If it's the right decision for you, that's great. All I'm trying to communicate is that often patients say they've looked at all the right options and they've crossed all of them off before they end up in my office. And then in truth, when I speak to them, that's not the case. So I don't want you to jump towards IVF too soon. I want you to be able to look at all your options and decide if that is the best option for you or if there are others that you can pursue first. And then lastly, which I wrote in this little font right here at the bottom, it says new clinic. What do I mean by that? I am not partial to any clinic around. I think that there's a lot of good clinics, a lot of clinics that can be helpful for all of you. And if you've been through IVF and been unsuccessful, maybe there's no reason to contemplate switching to a new clinic. But one of the things that I want you to do is contemplate for a moment, have a conversation about it. Does it make sense? Like, would you be more successful someplace else at another clinic, maybe another doctor, or not? And that answer might be no. You might be fine staying with where you're at. But I think it's a conversation to have. And I will tell you, with many of my patients who have been through IVF multiple times, one of the things we do look at is potentially switching clinics. It's something that they often bring up to me, right? So we want to address that. That's not the right decision for everybody. So it's something that needs to be discussed with the right person who has no invested interest in it and who can see things from the outside looking in to give you a little bit of guidance and coaching, okay? So those are when, clock, no options, and in small writing, new clinic. Okay, so let's turn this. Why are you here? So there's lots of reasons. In the end, the only one that matters is this red one, right? And we're going to come to it. But first and foremost, many patients come here to me and start looking at IVF because of medication, hormones, birth control pill, okay? You're not getting pregnant. You've been trying. It's not easy. All your life you've been wanting to have a child and it's not happening. And most of us also never expected to be in this situation having to do IVF. Never even really expected to be paying much attention to trying to get pregnant. Always thought it was going to be so easy because that's what you were told. You were told that it was going to be easy to get pregnant, right? We're all told when we're learning the birds and the bees in high school that you can't get close to somebody. If they look at you, you can get pregnant. You know, there's all these fearful things that get instilled in us to make us believe that getting pregnant is super easy. But in reality, it's not easy. It's not. Our chances of success are relatively low. And at our best chance of conception, in our early 20s, okay, we have at most a 30% chance of conception. So we're not efficient. Human beings are not efficient at reproduction at any stage of our life. But the older we get, the more busy we get, the more complicated our health gets, the lower our chances get. So ease, even though we were taught to believe that it's easy to get pregnant, it's really not. You also want real answers. IVF is not always successful, although we want it to be, we hope it will be, we want to believe that it is. We're told that it's always successful sometimes by the wrong people, right? We're misled to believe that it's always successful, but in reality, it's not. And so we want real answers. You're here today because you want real answers to your fertility journey and to IVF, and I'm hoping to be able to provide some of those for you today as well. Okay. And then lastly, our MDs typically send us to do IVF, right? Our fertility doctors recommend IVF because that's what they know. I'm not criticizing them for it. That's what they're trained to do, and that's what they know, and that's what they believe is okay and in your best interest. And I'm not here to argue against that. I want to increase your chances when you go towards IVF, because many of us and more every day are moving towards IVF. So because we're being referred to IVF and it's happening more and more frequently, becoming more mainstream and more popular and more comfortable, I want to make that more successful. And that's why we're here, for answers, but most of all, to increase our percentages, to increase our success rate, right? Because you wouldn't be here just because you were on birth control, or just because you thought it was easy, or just because you want real answers. You're only here in the end because you want to increase that percentage. We want to increase that and make it as high as we can to save you time, money, energy, and resources, so that when you go towards IVF, you can make it successful. And that's really the end. And that's my goal for all of you with this video series, is to really promote how you can improve your chances and increase your success rate during IVF. And for me, that comes with knowledge, understanding, preparation, and community, right? So can you guess what the C and the P are? That's right. So C is community, and P is preparation. So I want to take a moment to talk about these for just a minute, because this is really important, okay? Preparation and community are the first key steps that we need to take to increase our success rate, to yield the results that we want, and to have the family that we want. And in this day and age, we're all looking for the quick fix and to move things forward as quickly as possible. But preparation is key. So if you want to, and it might sound counterintuitive, if you want to increase your chances and move things forward as quickly as possible, many of us, and I would argue most of us, need to take time to prepare. Because in the long run, taking some time on the front side of it to prepare is actually going to save you time in the long run. Okay? So I'm going to go back to community first, because community is key. We're all in this together, and it's with community that we yield the results that we're looking for. And we do that with the support of the community and the people around you, which is one of the key principles that I kept in mind when I was creating this video series and my Conquering IVF program. So, incorporating natural approaches and community will increase your chances of IVF. Even though IVF was not what you wanted to do, you're here right now, and we need to make this as successful as possible. So that's the goal with community. And there's tons of research. Tons of research. I'm going to read some of it there, but I've got pages and pages and pages. And I just printed off, what did I print off here? I just printed off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I printed off 5 research studies of hundreds, okay, that show that community and preparation are key to success in any health issue, and especially with fertility. So one of the things that I want to mention when we're talking about the research here, okay, I want to see if I can find it so I can read it to you real quick. The psychological impacts of infertility. Okay, these research studies show and prove that going through infertility, or fertility, as I usually like to say, is equal to and is as stressful and difficult on a couple and an individual as having congestive heart failure or being diagnosed with cancer. And all of those individuals always have community support to get to the end of that process. And this is no different. So community is essential for the success of your fertility journey. We can't be isolated and alone. We have to have the community around us to move us forward, to support us, to lift us up when we're down, and to provide the nurturing and love that we need as we're going through this journey. So there's reports from a group of women. I'm just trying to read it as I'm talking, so I apologize for my stumbling. And it showed that there was a research study that showed that women who participated in support groups that promote exchanges of experience with others who are going through the same thing enable them to be more successful and thrive and conquer the disease process that they're going through. Okay, in these groups, we observe and see that one of those friends also had it, and it brings that connection, it brings that exchange of ideas, and it brings that exchange of love and support that guide you and lift you up. So community is essential, and these research studies show it over and over and over again. Okay, the other thing that's essential is preparation. So what we know that the research shows with regards to preparation is that in general, we need about 3 months, 90 to 100 days to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Okay, so this 3 months is the approximate time needed to improve sperm health and ovarian health or egg quality. And that's what's called spermatogenesis or folliculogenesis. And so we need to impact that process before you're going through IVF. Now, are there things that you can do while you're going through IVF? Absolutely. But when we start talking about sperm quality and egg quality, hands down, those things need to be addressed well in advance. And if you were to take that one magic pill today that fixed everything, you still need 90 days from that day of taking that magic pill to see the results in your eggs and your sperm. Because those take the maturation process to yield those down the pipeline, take 90 to 100 days to see that return. So you need to give yourself that time to prepare to yield the results that you're looking for, right? And to optimize your fertility. I know we all want to jump right into it. And when they give us the go-ahead and the green light, we all want to do it immediately. But the reality is we need more time. And the time you devote now will save you time later. All right. So I know a lot of you out there, even though I'm saying all of this, and it sounds good, right? It sounds good. I know all of you are thinking certain things. Your brain is talking to you and it's saying one of, or maybe multiple of these things. You're saying, well, everything costs money. I'd rather save my money and put it towards IVF because that's where my highest chances are. But if you don't spend the money up front to prepare your body, my feeling is it's a high expense to not yield the result that you're looking for. And then this one is often one I hear. I'm too busy. I'm already doing too much. I don't have time to do anything else. My life is full. I can't find the time with my busy schedule to put in the time to prepare, to change the things that I'm going to ask you to change in these 4 videos, to begin the process that yields you, that gets you to that IVF, to yield you the result that you're looking for of a healthy baby. This one is common. I'm too busy. And I would argue is you are not busy enough to not do it. You don't have it's not worth it to you to not do it. You need to make the time, cut other things out of your schedule and prioritize this, not at the sake of losing yourself and losing joy and happiness in the world and in life, but at the sake of cutting out the things you don't need, right? I'd say the same thing about money. We all spend money on all sorts of things that we don't need, or we think we need, but in reality, we want, right? That $5 Starbucks coffee. Imagine putting those $5 in your pocket every day. Instead, spending it on your fertility, instead of spending it on coffee. There are ways for us to get through this, okay? Natural. Why did I cross it off? Many of you do not believe that there are natural treatments that can help you increase your chances of success. I'm here to tell you, I see that every day, and I know it can happen, and I know that if you do it, it can happen for you. Trust. You're not sure if you should trust me. You're not sure if I'm the right person to listen to, because there's lots of people talking to you about your fertility journey. You might not be asking them. You might be seeing a lot of people. You might be searching on Dr. Google for all the things that you want to learn. And so people are talking to you about what they think you need to know and what they think you need to do. So you're not sure if I'm the right person to trust. Hopefully, I can prove that to you in this 4-part video series. And I can build your trust in this video series, that you can trust the words that I'm saying. But I can tell you, you just heard from a community of women who shared their stories. You know, there was another testimonial I wanted to share with you, but I'll come back to that. I skipped over it. I might come back to it in just a second. I just thought of it. And then effort. It's going to be too much work. It's going to be too much effort. There's all these struggles that are going to come out of it. And it's too hard. It's too hard. Too hard to change my diet. Too hard to change my lifestyle. Too difficult to take those supplements. It takes too much effort to do all these things. I don't disagree. It takes a lot of effort. A lot of effort that's worthwhile doing for all of you. So, yes, is it hard? Is anything worth getting in life easy? I would argue the answer is no. Relationships are hard, but they're so rewarding. The effort that we put into work is hard, but it's rewarding. Everything takes effort. And from effort, let's see if I can write this out. From effort comes hope. My favorite word. Hope. Effort, struggle yields to hope. And hope is what keeps us going every day. So making all the changes I'm suggesting absolutely is difficult and takes a lot of effort. But hope comes from struggle. And being able to watch the sun rise another day means you've succeeded, right? You struggled the day before, and now the sun rose the next day, and with that comes hope. So I don't know how many of you know my personal story, right? But if you're a woman or a couple who are wanting to have a family and tried everything there is to try and have been told you can't have children, the first thing that I want you to know is that I absolutely believe there is hope for you and that you can have a child. And the reason I know this is because I've helped thousands of couples turn that hope into a child themselves. And for me, personally, where this hope comes from and taking couples' hope and turning it into a family began in my childhood, and actually well before. See, my parents, for those of you who don't know, my parents immigrated to the United States from Cuba and came to this country with absolutely nothing but hope. And they turned that hope into their family, my family, right? So I'm one of 4 boys, and I'm actually an identical twin. And what's really interesting, I found it fascinating, hopefully you do too, about having an identical twin is that although we're 99% the same, 1% difference between my brother and I. That's it. And it's that 1% that makes us so different. It's also that 1% that made him so healthy in childhood. He never got sick as a kid, or not that I really remember. And I was always sick, mainly with digestive issues. You know, I always like to joke, I basically had every itis that you could possibly think of associated with digestive issues. And as a result of that, my parents took me to see all sorts of doctors. They did everything they could, and there was really never a solution. And for me, not a lot of hope. And everything peaked when I woke up the day after my 21st birthday in the hospital bed, and the doctors still had no answers for me. Absolutely none. So 3 days later, when I left the hospital, I was in there for 3 days. I was driven to figure out what was going on with me, that I started my personal journey to search for why. And that's when I discovered Chinese medicine and integrative medicine. And it was in that search for answers for myself and for others in the future is how I started going to Chinese medicine school. And as an intern in my final year of school, 2 patients changed the trajectory of my life forever, and they didn't even realize it. One was my brother, and obviously his wife. They had come to me. They were having issues getting pregnant. I helped them make some changes, and they called me to let me know that they were pregnant with twins. And lo and behold, today, they have actually 2 sets of twins. So they've got 4 kids. And at the same time, pretty much at the same time, there was a woman who came to see me with irregular cycles, and we found out that she was suffering from PCOS. And like me, she had been to every traditional doctor, and like me, she was left with no answers and no hope. And I was able to help her with Chinese medicine through diet, lifestyle, and mindset. And one thing that she shared with me was that she was also trying to get pregnant. Like most women with PCOS, like most of you out there who have PCOS or have some other issue, you're also trying to get pregnant, some other reproductive issue, you're also trying to get pregnant. And she came to me one day, almost crying actually, and she said she was concerned because for the first time since starting to work with me, she missed her period. So what did I do with a little grin on my face? I gave her a pregnancy test, sent her off to the bathroom, and lo and behold, she came back with a positive pregnancy test. So I was so excited because not only was I able to help her regain her health, but I was able to help her get pregnant by doing that. And as much as I was helping them, little did they know that they were helping me because not only through Chinese medicine was I able to cure my digestive issues, but the coolest part of the whole thing was as I was helping women get healthy, as a result of that, I was helping them create the families that they dreamed of. And I said to myself, how amazing, how exciting is this that I can have a career where I can help women, give them hope. And as a result of that hope, they can create the families of their dreams. And that's why I created this video series and this IVF program, because I want you to take the hope and the dreams that you have for starting a family and turn that into the family that you dream of. So I've always worked trying to get my patients to get pregnant naturally. I didn't want them to do IVF. I wanted them to get pregnant naturally first and foremost. But what I realized was that 50% of my patients, 50% of the people coming to me, to reaching out to me for help, were already going towards IVF. And many of them were failing, having to do it multiple times. So I thought, we need to do something to teach all of you how to improve your chances so that you can do this right. The IVF clinics that I work with are really open to my protocols because we see increased success rates. I've tested this with patients. We go into their transfers prepared, and we see the results that we've been seeing. So this is what I want for all of you. Okay. The things that I wish you knew before you started IVF. Number 1, I call this the IVF myth because many patients come in believing these 3 things, and it's a myth because it's not true. Is IVF 100% successful, which means it works 100% of the time? Ideally, yes. In reality, it's not the case. IVF is not 100% successful. Also, patients come in believing that it's the magic pill. They want this to be the one pill that they can take and get pregnant and yield the results that they've been wanting and not look back. A patient that I saw today, she went into IVF, spent $30,000, had 2 cycles, didn't get pregnant. 2 months after trying through IVF for her second time through IVF and not having a success, she got pregnant naturally. These are the things that I want you to know and understand and believe. So there is no magic pill, not even with natural magic supplements. It's not 100% successful. And we go into it believing that it's going to be fast. Because maybe if it works the first time, it is. But often the success rates don't show that IVF is successful the first time. You need multiple cycles either to gain enough embryos or to have enough transfers to yield a result. So that fast, as much as we want that to be true, is not necessarily true. This fast doesn't really happen. Yes, there are cases where this can be fast. It happens in 1 or 2 months, but in general, that's not necessarily the case. So this is why I group these into my IVF myths. I want you to go back, sit down with your partner, and ask the question, do I really need it? Do I really need IVF? And I'm not trying to convince you not to do it, but I want you to ask the question. This series is about IVF, and I'm going to share how to conquer it, but I want you to think about it. This is often taken for granted because IVF doctors told you that you need it, that you need to move forward with IVF because this is what you need. But I'm here to ask you to second guess that, not because I want you not to do it, but because I want you to go into it prepared and ready to go and make sure it's the right thing for you. So, first, when do you need IVF? When do you need it? When to start thinking about IVF? The easy ones is where I'm going to start, okay? You can see the sperm, the uterus, and the ovaries. This looks like I drew it, didn't it? Okay, so you can see this. The times where you need it, your partner is not producing any sperm or not enough healthy sperm to yield a natural pregnancy. So that's when you need to move forward with IVF. If this is the case, there's no questions. You need to move forward. We just want to make sure you're prepared to do it, okay? Preparation still counts here. Community still counts here. But the answer of should you move forward is, I think, answered here as well. If you've got a blocked fallopian tubes, maybe lots of endometriosis, there's some sort of abnormality in the shape of the uterus, that is when you absolutely need IVF. These are the times where IVF was perfectly designed for. And that's when you move forward with it. So these physical issues, are there physical issues or blockages that are getting in the way and not allowing you to get pregnant? If that's the case, then yes, you absolutely need to move forward, but we still want to prepare your body to be successful. We either want to prepare the sperm, the ovaries to produce healthy eggs, or the uterus, or all of it, right? Depending on your situation. Next, do you need it? Are you sure you need it? Have you asked all the right questions? Have you gotten a second opinion? If you didn't get a second opinion, if you haven't second guessed those things, then maybe you don't need it. Maybe, just maybe, you have other options. I don't know, but I want you to ask the question to know for sure, okay? Have you put in enough time? You don't want to wait anymore. So this clock means two things. Have you put in enough time with yourself in preparation? Have you given yourselves enough time to be successful? If you're under 35, at least a year. If you're over 35, at least 6 months to be successful. And I can't tell you how many patients come in and tell me, we've been trying for a year, but we've only had sex during ovulation twice during that year. Even though it feels like you've been trying for a year, you've only been trying for 2 months. So you've got to ask yourselves the right questions. Have you given yourself enough time? And as I mentioned before, this for me is also the time factor. We all have different family planning timelines. We all have different amount of children we would like to have. We've all put in potentially enough time. Has that time, does it feel like enough for you that now it's time to move forward? The only person who can answer those questions is you and your partner. If you are 30 and you've been trying for 5 years, maybe you've put in enough time. It's time to move forward with IVF. If you're 40, but you haven't tried at all, maybe you have not put in enough time, or maybe you have, according to yourself. I can't answer that question, and I can't tell you what the right answer is. I can just tell you that these are factors that you need to consider before you move forward with IVF. These are the things that I want you to know before you move forward with IVF, because these are the things that people do not discuss. My patients don't discuss it, which is why I'm bringing it up for all of you to discuss. I'm going to leave this one for last, and I'm going to jump to here, premature. Are you moving forward with IVF prematurely? I believe, from what I see every day working with patients, that around 50% of the patients that move forward with IVF are doing it prematurely. They didn't need to move forward with IVF yet, but they are, because they've been told that they need to, but they haven't tried everything. They haven't looked at everything. They haven't given enough time. They were feared. They were scared to move forward. They were feared into it, okay? So are you moving forward with it prematurely? Have you given yourself enough time? Have you prepared yourself enough? Have you looked at all the options? Have you gotten a second opinion? This is what I mean by premature. Testing, which kind of goes into all of this. Every time a patient comes into my office, with very few exceptions, maybe only 5% of the time this is inaccurate, I ask patients, what testing have you done? How do you know you need to move forward with IVF? They say, well, I did all the testing. My doctor told me, my OB told me that IVF is the only option. Either this number is wrong or off or abnormal, or all my numbers look fine. They don't know why, but I'm not getting pregnant. I can tell you 95% of the patients who walk into my office have not done sufficient testing. They've left so many things untested. There's lots of unknowns out there that need to be answered. And testing is the biggest thing that I find that needs to be answered. What labs have to be done? If you've only had FSH, estradiol, and AMH done, and many of my patients today are just coming in with just AMH, you have not had enough testing done. We need more answers. There's a reason why you're not getting pregnant, and we need to figure out why. Now, if you don't want to figure out why, that's fine. Then moving forward with IVF makes sense. For me, I always like to figure out why, because I want to address that before you go and spend those tens of thousands of dollars to perform an IVF procedure that we hope is going to be successful. Last, intuition versus fear. This is one that is very easy to mix up. Very easy to mix up. The first thing I want to say is, all of you watching have gut feelings about what you should be doing. It's called intuition. Maybe it comes from here, maybe it comes from here. Okay? Fear comes from here. I want you to listen to your heart. I want you to listen to your gut. What's it telling you? What's the right path for you? Is going down IVF the right path? Fine. I don't have a problem. Let's make it successful. But don't make this decision off of fear. Don't be scared into making the decision to move forward with IVF because you're scared you might not get pregnant, because you're scared you don't have any other options, because you're scared and that's what you've been told that you need to be, is scared. Fear is a powerful emotion. We can't make our decisions in life off of fear. We have to make our decisions in life off of what feels right. Here. It's called women's intuition, female intuition, for a reason. You need to listen to it. You need to trust it. And I'm going to teach you in my subsequent videos about some tools that you can be doing that puts you more in tune and in touch with your intuition and your heart and your emotions so that you can make the right choices moving forward and make it with a solid mindset, right? Not being feared or scared into doing it. So this one is key for me because it happens over and over and over. I don't like to fear patients into doing anything. I want you to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and listen to your heart and your gut and your intuition to make the decisions that you want to make to guide you forward to be successful. Okay. So I can go on with that one for a while, but I'm not going to. What you need to know before you move forward with IVF. So age is absolutely a factor. As I mentioned before, the older you get, the lower your chances of success are, naturally or with IVF, right? So the average is below 35. If you're 35 and younger, your chances of of success are higher. And if you're over 35 and over 40, your chances are lower. Does it mean you don't do IVF? Not necessarily. I just want you to go in with your eyes wide open and with all the knowledge to make the right decision. 22%. What's 22%? The average live birth rate of all IVF procedures performed. So not the success rate of the IVF cycle. Going in, they put the embryo back in, it implants, it becomes, and you get pregnant. But we want the final outcome. We want to have a healthy baby at the end. 22% of the time is when that happens. I want that to be higher. I want that to be higher for all of you. That's why I'm doing this, okay? The cost. The cost is expensive. For those of you who don't know, the cheapest IVF that I found is maybe $10,000, usually around 12 or 13 with medication, right? And it can go upwards of $30,000. And if you've got complicated history, it can go higher. And if you're doing donor sperm or donor egg or surrogacy, it's even higher. So that's on the low end. IVF is expensive. It's not for everybody. But if you are going to do it and you are going to invest that money into it, I want it to work. And I want it to work for you. So we need to do all the right things to make it work for you. And some of those things I've mentioned: preparation and community. So we've talked, right? 22%, 30 to 40%. Sometimes it's less. If we're lucky, I think we're hitting 30 to 40%. If we're awesome, we're hitting 50% success, right? But it's not 100% successful, which many people believe. And I told you that story earlier of my patient who walked into the IVF clinic and who was told, we're going to get you pregnant. You're going to get pregnant. So she believed that that IVF cycle was going to be successful for her. And it wasn't. And that's when reality hit. That's when she realized she was a statistic, right? She's a number. We want to increase those numbers. 3 months. We need 3 months of preparation to increase your chances. This is how we can influence egg quality, follicular growth. This is how we can improve sperm quality, spermatogenesis. This is how we can improve uterine health. I've seen countless patients who have great egg quality, great sperm quality. They produce beautiful embryos. And then sure enough, the uterine environment is not healthy. And maybe there's a blockage. Maybe there's a fibroid. Maybe the lining's too thin. It doesn't implant. These are things we need time to change, time to improve. That's what this video is about. My first video, this video that you're watching, is about knowledge. Preparing yourself to gather the knowledge and preparing yourself for your next IVF cycle. So this is where I'm going to leave you today, right here, okay? I want you, where you're watching this on that website, if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave comments there. But on the website, if you've registered, and hopefully all of you go and register, leave your questions. I'm going to come back and answer those in the next couple of days, because then we're going to have video number 2 on Monday. Bright and early on Monday, bright and early for me, 9:30, okay? And I want to know, the first thing I want to ask all of you is, have you learned anything new? What did you discover from watching this video today? What did you learn? I want you to post those comments on the Conquering IVF video feed, okay, on that homepage that I've got for it, because I want to read them and I want to learn from all of you. Additionally, video number 2, what are we going to cover in video number 2? We already know all this real information, statistics, that you need to listen to your intuition. What do you actually need to do to improve your IVF? In the next video, we're going to cover the first steps to conquering your IVF. And among other things that I'm going to talk about the difference between mini IVF and conventional IVF. This is a common question I get asked. What's the difference and which one should I do? So we're going to talk about those differences. So please make sure you join me on Monday for that. And we're going to talk about what's the best choice, mini or conventional IVF for you, and what's my preference for you. All right, so make sure you join me on Monday. Please post your questions that you want answered, and I want to know, what did you learn about this video series? Okay. The other thing that we were going to discuss on video number 2 is, have you picked the right protocol for your IVF cycle? Was the right protocol picked for you? Did you yield the right results? And have you picked the right clinic to work with? These are all really important questions, and questions that don't get asked, and questions that we're going to answer so that we can yield the results that you're looking for, which is a successful baby, okay? A successful pregnancy and a healthy baby, I should be clear. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all on Monday, 9:30 Pacific, right here on the same page, so that we can learn some more and continue to gain the knowledge to yield the results that you're looking for. All right, everyone. Bye.